believe that. I don't believe that.
Really round.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Midnight Spotlight, the home of some dudes who got thoughts on movies. My name is Cole.
I'm on the floor.
Yeah.
What the fuck is Dalton?
I thought you were gonna do the thing in the background.
Oh yeah, what is that?
Oh, you mean this?
Yeah,
it's the topic of the day.
We got a fourth guest.
That came out looking pretty good. I'm not gonna lie.
Mr. Cruz,
he's happy to be here.
He's watching over us always.
Yeah, especially as we were watching our movie, Eyes Wide Shut.
And he kept asking us, he's like, every 5 minutes, like, do you like the movie? Do you like the movie?
Yeah.
Like, he did. The shit got kind of annoying. That,
and then he'd give us a little smile and his little like laugh. And
but he'd
like
give us
had our thighs.
Fat grin. He'd be like, and I was like, okay. Yeah, I was like, he's a charming guy. No,
I was like, dude, that tooth is in the center of your face. No, something's not right there.
And hey, you know what? Props to him. He's the highest paid actor in the world.
Yeah. Good for him, I guess. He's like 50 years old.
Nah.
Damn, I mean,
there are rumors. There are rumors circulating out there that Tom Cruise's ballsack is like as skin tight as can be. And what do you have to say after watching this movie, Carlos, about that?
His ballsack must have been tight as hell. You know? How long ago is this? Like 20 years ago? I think this movie's about 1 year younger than me. So I was born in 1988, so it's about 23 years old, right?
Yeah, same for actually it's all three of us.
Oh yeah, so this came out in 1999, directed by the one and only Stanley Kubrick. And Dalton, you want to give a little synopsis here?
Sure.
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and do that?
Yeah.
All right. So the movie is about it's about a doctor named Bill Harford and his wife, and I don't even know how to describe this without spoiling it.
Yeah, I got you.
There's something about there's some infidelity worries going on between them, and it spirals into a kind of mystery going on.
Yeah, almost like a world of indecency.
Yeah, that's one way to put it. Right. Like Dalton said, we're not going to be talking spoilers, but no, this movie it does definitely follow like a strained marriage. I feel like, and you have a lot of holes being poked through one another from the other person, and you kind of follow Tom Cruise in his descent into things that are well beyond him. And I think that's probably the best way we can phrase it without getting into much spoilers. Yeah. But this is a very highly regarded movie. I myself am familiar with Kubrick, of course, through The Shining. I've never seen any of his other movies, but they're also very highly acclaimed. Wow. I've also never seen this.
But I mean, probably one of the most acclaimed directors of all time, I feel like. I mean,
I would say so,
movies, usually they're almost at the top of everybody's list, at least one of them. You know, you have The Shining, Clockwork Orange, huh?
Cole, you haven't seen The Shining?
I have.
That's the only one.
What do you mean? I literally just said that.
I thought you said none of them.
No. He has Full Metal Jacket. The list goes on and on. I feel like this one kind of flies under the radar.
And
this is like a real film bro movie.
Yeah.
I feel like it's interesting because I feel like I didn't even know this is a Kubrick movie until like a month ago, and apparently he regarded it as his best movie. I'm like, what? How did I never even heard of this? Or I heard of it, but I didn't know it was him.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's definitely a Kubrick movie. I mean, from the first initial shot, I feel like it's very much his stamp on it. But I feel like is it really the highest regarded? Because I was thinking this one is definitely his most toned down one. I feel like all his movies
I agree with that.
Yeah,
I was going to say he regarded it as his own, like his best. And
really? Stanley Kubrick did. Oh wow.
Yes. Okay. But other, everyone else doesn't see The Shining more.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's still a very highly regarded movie. I mean, you take a look at Letterboxd or IMDb, and you see this thing is like on average scoring like 4 out of 5, which is pretty damn impressive for a movie that is as long as this is, and it's over 2.5 hours. So it's very much a slow burn, and it definitely feels it at points, but there's a lot of great qualities to it, and that's something that I think maybe this movie's a little bit of a hard sell. It's pretty artsy, I guess, in ways, but at the same time, it is very contemporary. I mean, at the time this came out, 99, you had the media making almost sensationalized news reportings about the duo of Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman being husband and wife, and their chemistry on screen, which
and they kept
got people in seats.
Yeah, they basically tricked everyone. They're like, it's so like scandalous and sexy and stuff. Yeah, and then people watched it and they're like, what? So that was part of it. I
think part of it was selling it
highly regarded.
Yeah, I think part of it selling it like that is, I mean, it makes sense because you think of the movie, you see it, you're like, oh, this is Kubrick. This is, Tom Cruise is his best regarded movie. So obviously, you think of Kubrick, you think of more like a little bit zanier kind of concepts. I feel like every other concept he's done in a movie is usually something outrageous kind of happens, but in this one, it stays relatively grounded for the most part. Usually it does kind of dabble into some more like zany stuff that you're kind of not expecting, but it's really almost like a drama. Like from start to finish is very much like, I thought it was going to escalate into something bigger, but it never really did. Yeah. Whether you liked it or not, that's up to you. I enjoyed it because honestly, he does somber and character moments really well. And Nicole, you said it kind of like feels long in some sections. I really didn't feel that, honestly. I thought it was, especially towards the beginning. I was like, oh, this is going to feel kind of long because it's 2 hours and like 45 minutes. And I was like, even going to the very beginning, which is like a party scene. I didn't feel like, it felt like it dragged a little bit in the very, very beginning. But after that, I was like thoroughly interested because, characters felt real and genuine, but also there was something under like something in everybody's mind that wasn't coming to the surface that I was like really anticipating for them to explore. And he did. And I think the timing and the pacing was decent. So I wasn't like checking my watch constantly. I was interested in the movie and interested in Tom Cruise's performance here, which was pretty good.
Yeah, I will agree with that. I think Tom Cruise does a great job. I mean, he is a pretty damn good actor. I will say that much. He definitely isn't like just an action star. I mean, you're not going to see Stallone and Schwarzenegger pulling out performances like Tom Cruise has. No discredit to them. Those guys, they definitely have their place. They've earned their legacy.
Stallone used to be able to do performance. He still can. I feel like Creed is a good example that he does have it. He just chooses not to. Yeah. But I feel like
Creed.
No, but Tom Cruise is, he definitely has acting chops. Like nowadays, he doesn't really use it anymore because, I mean, he usually just does Mission Impossible / like
Top Gun.
Random
Top
action
Gun,
movie,
movies. Action movie star.
Or the Mummy remake.
The Mummy. Yeah. That's all the Mummy is. Yeah.
Okay, but no, what I was going to say is, I think one of the great strengths of Stanley Kubrick as a director is he really knows how to utilize his actors, and I think he's definitely able to kind of get the most out of what they can do, especially when you have people who are aware of each other, as Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman are. Obviously, they know what each other can do, and then you have a director who understands that. It just makes for a great combination, which is why they sold it, is the combination that it was. Yeah. And to go back a little bit, I should say I wouldn't ever say I think this movie like hits a stop and it just starts dragging like no other. You can definitely tell it's long, but there's only one part of the movie that I thought was slowing down a little bit, but it kind of makes sense as to why it happens. This is a very cool movie, and I actually really wanted to ask you about this, Dalton, because this is a movie you've seen before, and I wanted to know what makes you want to keep coming back to it. And this is not in like a critical, cynical way. I'll say this right off the bat. It's definitely, I'm not coming from a place of hate in any way. But what about it do you love so much?
Yeah, so I saw this for the first time a couple of weeks ago, and Yeah,
Oh, I'm not gonna lie. I thought it was more than that. It's only been twice. Okay,
No.
never mind. Okay, but yes, please, dude, keep going.
Yeah, I really love the whole atmosphere of it, and like the first time I watched it, I was like, I feel like I'm like there's something deeper that I'm not like seeing. So I wanted to watch it again to like find more things. And I think on the second watch, I did find things I didn't notice before. And also after I read like this huge essay that someone wrote on it, and I'm like, whoa, that like makes a lot of sense. So I want to watch it like a third time to like see all this stuff.
That's cool.
Yeah, I just like the overall atmosphere and like the visuals. I don't know. This is a cozy movie to me.
Yeah, no, that's
like, the lighting.
That's the thing. Like, I guess going with pairing with Krampus and the other movies we got lined up for this month, it's definitely an unconventional Christmas movie, but it's festive in the backgrounds. I will say that.
Yeah,
the festivities is not first or like forefront, but
yeah, and that's kind of one of the themes that I noticed.
Yeah, and I think this movie definitely does lend itself to video essays and like more analytical sort of analysis. I was gonna say analytical analysis, but no, more analytical look at the movie, because it's a lot that you can appreciate about this, I feel. And even touching on the visuals, like you said, there's so much neon lighting and it looks so good. There's some very interesting choices, I feel like, with the way that it was filmed. Like, it almost looks like green screen at certain points, but good green screen is being used.
I think Kubrick like used this. I read that he used like this technique. I don't know exactly what it is, but he did something with the film itself to like make it all hazy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's like on purpose.
Yeah, and it's a defining trait of the movie. I mean, you have some very lavish interiors designs, some very beautiful houses throughout the movie. I mean, it's, for the most part, it takes place in like, I would say, middle to upper class.
He's definitely
very
rich.
upper class.
These people have money.
He just be throwing money everywhere, I feel like.
He does, man.
Money.
That's not even a spoiler. This dude be using his own personal money for this movie.
Everywhere.
This is cash. It's not no credit card or cards or anything. It's like straight up cash all the time.
He rips the money.
Like, oh, yeah.
Man, dude. Are you going to make him tape it back together?
On a fishing, it's going to feed it to him on a fishing pole.
Yeah, but it's definitely, I feel like technically, I think this movie's really done well. I think one of the best I've seen in a long time. Just I was really impressed by especially his hallway shots. Kind of like they follow the characters, and they're like long takes.
Yeah,
that I think aren't appreciated as much. Like, there's definitely some scenes where I was like, okay, I didn't even realize that this is still all one take. Like, this involves a bit more choreography, a bit more detailing. But I was like, looking back, I'm really impressed by all the shots in the long hallways and like the staring shots. And he didn't have any Kubrick stares in this, but some of the dolly shots were pretty interesting. It was definitely a fun watch in that aspect. I was like, okay, there's a lot of different methods that are interesting to see, and even nowadays nobody uses it, and that's what makes it kind of unique.
Yeah, it makes it something that lives on well past its time. And I'll agree on that. I think that kind of goes hand in hand with the point I made earlier of Kubrick really letting the actors shine. And they can carry those longer takes without the cuts. When you have movies, especially when it comes to something that's more action oriented in any given way, there's a lot of rapid cuts going all over the place, and so when a movie takes the time to like sit and settle, it can be very much appreciated when it's done right. And of course, I think Kubrick did do it right. I mean, he's a very highly acclaimed director for good reason, and the music too.
Yeah, the music. Wait, before I get into music, I just want to say something that Kubrick does really well is storytelling with mostly visuals, because the characters will say something, and I mean, if you're not really paying attention to the visuals, you'll just like believe it. But if like you've been paying attention, like in the background, you'll know that something's not right. But he won't like directly say it. Like, you have to figure it out. And
I did notice that. As the movie went along, you start to get the idea that there is something more to it than what's actually just being shown on the screen. And that's one thing that definitely makes me feel like a rewatch would be interesting.
Yeah.
Which you got that experience, which I imagine, like you said, that was pretty damn cool to be able to go back and see all the new things you missed.
Yeah, and I did feel the pace kind of dragged in the second half on the rewatch. The first time I didn't feel that at all, but this time, especially like you were talking about the music, there's this piano track in the second half of the movie. It's like ding, ding.
It's so much of it, dude.
It plays like 5 times.
Is like literally, it's just constant rotation. I was like,
plays
it's nice,
4 or
I guess.
5 times, but it's not subtle enough or like interesting enough to be played that many times.
Honestly,
I think it's made to be played at like certain aspects of the movie. Like, I don't want to. Yeah, this is definitely more into spoilers, but there's definitely the parts that is played are definitely scenes where it's like it's almost like a revelation.
Yeah,
and
for
almost
sure.
like something kind of shifts in the movie.
Yeah,
and it makes it a little bit more interesting to me. But yeah, I was definitely like, okay, it's definitely the same one, and I can see people kind of getting annoyed of this for sure.
Yeah,
well,
maybe that's the point. I don't know.
It's no Creature from the Black Lagoon. I swear they play that leitmotif so much in that movie.
Yeah,
it's the same exact thing like 50 times.
It's definitely no The Batman. If you've seen The Batman, have you guys seen The Batman?
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
You remember that's like. It's like burr, burr, burr.
Oh yes,
like it plays
nothing
like super fucking loud. It's nothing like that.
Yeah, it's definitely not that. It's just that music is often used in movies to be able to inform the audience on how to feel. And I mean, in that way, sure, it's complementary to what the actors are portraying in the movie. I would argue maybe it's a little overkill, but it's not bad. I wouldn't
you
really
could get
hold
the
it
same
against
effect
it
by changing it a little bit.
Yeah,
you could.
There was one scene in the movie that used music, I think, super effectively, and it wasn't that piano was like ding, ding.
Yeah, is it the pivotal scene?
Yeah, I was like, damn, this music is actually really fucking good.
I listened to that afterwards on YouTube.
It's good, right? It sounds amazing. Backwards. And are they speaking backwards?
Yeah, they're speaking. Yeah. I think they're singing in Latin backwards. And then someone translated it, but I forgot what the translation was.
It sounds like spoilers, but we're not spoilers.
No, it's not spoilers yet.
Yeah,
after I
was very impressed.
I was like speaking backwards in tongues, and people couldn't understand me.
Yeah, and it's something. This movie definitely does have the element of surprise. I feel like that first hour is mostly drama, romantic drama, and then it really starts getting into changing gears. You have Tom Cruise slowly starting to, I guess, live with the revelations that comes from Nicole Kidman's character.
Yeah, it was also great.
Yeah, she did a great job.
Really
I'll say that.
Fucking good in this movie.
Yeah, not to mention Tom Cruise had to wear like 5-inch heels or something like that to be able to stand up to her.
Really?
That's what I was thinking.
Well, Tom Cruise is pretty short. He's like 5'6" or something.
Yeah, he's like 5'7". She's like 5'9", 5'10".
I thought 5'10". 5'10's the number I had in my head.
She's relatively taller, and he was still shorter, but it was like I don't think he's that close to her.
Yeah, that guy in the back, right behind you. Good job to you. Props to you. No Top Gun.
I might fund your religion.
Yeah, no. We should say, okay, I think this is right before he went into Scientology, right?
I don't know. I'm just going to say
that was a 2000s thing.
That's what I was trying to see, but I couldn't find anything on like when.
Anyways, this is not Scientologist propaganda like Battlefield Earth.
No.
But it is a pretty good movie. It is definitely a pretty good movie. Did you guys want to talk about anything else before we do get into spoilers? I feel like to talk about the almost like 2/3 of this movie, we do have to go into spoilers.
Yeah, because I feel like in the very beginning is what
we're just like
sets
tiptoeing.
Everything.
For real, we are.
I think overall this movie is fantastic. It didn't really capture me throughout the whole thing like I wanted it to or was expecting it to.
Yeah.
But I was still overall really impressed with most everything.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. I think on a technical aspect, this movie is phenomenal. There are parts to it that are very subdued, and I think that's something that maybe took me by surprise the most about this, is that you see something like The Shining, and it gets so chaotic and frantic, and this movie doesn't really do that. And it's in a good way, though. Yeah, it's in a good way. It's going for a very specific thing, and I think it achieves that very well. It's something that I'd say you should definitely stick with if you're going to watch it. Like I started this by saying it was kind of a hard sell. That's mostly because of the length. But if you're going to watch this, do stick with it. It has a lot to offer, and I think especially, you've even heard it from Dalton. It's something that offers more than just a first-time watch as well. I have to agree with Carlos, too, because this movie didn't capture me the way that I expected it to. And I know you said you thought it dragged in the first 30 minutes, but I was pretty engaged, to be honest with you. I was seeing what was going on, where this was gonna be taking everybody, because the performances were so good. And you have this lavish house, mansion, and it was interesting and it was cool. And as it goes on, it gets pretty cool still. It gets more and more cool. Yeah. So yeah, it's a cool movie. Go check it out. Yeah. Dalton, what do you have to say for yourself?
If you go in believing like the hype that's around it, like it's a sexy thriller.
It's definitely no erotic thriller.
Yeah, don't do that. Just think of it as a Kubrick movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Even then,
how Kubrick
don't expect a Kubrick movie.
Yeah. Expect like a slower one.
A personal story. Maybe
yes, exactly.
Closer to him.
Close to his heart. Yeah.
There's some reasons I don't know.
Okay.
This happened to him, actually.
Oh, yeah. Some reports do say this is a true story. And I guess that'll lead us right into spoilers. So going into this completely blind, I will say the back half of the movie, I was always unsure of how far it was going to go, because at some point, well, I can tell you what point. It's about like an hour and 15 minutes. I checked because I was like, I'm going to make a note of this. And I did. So the back half of the movie, you start realizing there's some weird, very sexually active, cultish activity going on that's beneath the surface. Almost an underground society, but not quite a cult exactly.
I mean,
you could say it. Well, okay, I guess it
I'd
is.
say
but
we
it's not
don't
like
even
a
know.
religion.
Like,
It's not like a religion like a cult would be.
Like, think of like Illuminati / like.
I guess that's true. You don't have to be
like
religious to be a cult. It's just a non-religious cult.
Yeah, it's just like a sex cult, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Just want to have people higher up that have more money and just want to have sex.
Gangbang.
As far as we know, I feel like it could be just a bunch of rich people getting their freak on, but they have power, so they can do control things. But it also could be a religious thing, like with the smoke ceremony and all that.
That is possible. There's always
true.
hints of it being something more sinister than what it appears to be, that the movie never really goes into. But I think that was a smart move, because it gets you thinking. And Tom Cruise's character obviously doesn't really know himself what's going on in the cult, and he comes to find that out throughout the course of the movie.
And we're basically on the journey with him.
Yeah, exactly. As an audience member,
does.
you definitely don't know more than he does.
And
unless you've seen it before. No, I'm kidding. Go ahead. What did you want to say?
I was going to say, I wanted to talk about how I think it was really funny how they chose Tom Cruise for this, because I feel like this character was Tom Cruise. It wasn't a doctor or anything, because I feel like he was like a very high up position, very successful, has a beautiful wife, like a good kid. And then he was, all of a sudden the woman in his life kind of like said
it drops a bomb on him.
Yeah, almost. It was, but she didn't necessarily. That was the thing. That was like what made it interesting, was she didn't necessarily cheat on him or anything, but she had thought about it, and it comes out in kind of like a weird way. I'll get more into that later, but basically it sets the whole tone. But it messes him up by bringing out his insecurities. And I was like, this is what Tom Cruise would do. He would almost go on he would think about it all the time. He's incredibly insecure man, because he has such a huge ego.
Sack.
Yeah, and like somebody with such a huge ego would definitely take it like this. Like they would take it to heart, and they would continue to, be berated by it.
And he's trying his hardest to return it, but like in reality, like she didn't do anything.
Yeah, exactly.
But like he's like, I'm gonna go out and do it because it hurt me. Like you actually did it.
Yeah, the thing that Carlos is referring to is, for anybody who hasn't seen it that's stuck with us so far, thank you for one. Your hair looks nice today, unless you don't have any. But okay, that's not true. That's not true. All right. What I was going to say is that
looking extra good.
Exactly. And what Carlos was saying was how there's a pretty big argument. I guess it's an argument, realistically, that happens after they both get high, after the kids goes to sleep. Nicole Kidman and Tom Cruise, that is. And it's pretty mean-spirited, to be honest. I feel like what she was saying, she wasn't just admitting it because she felt guilty about having thoughts of cheating on someone. She was like trying to hurt him. And she did, successfully she did. And I was like, damn, that's kind of weird. It made me start wondering if this movie was going to be like, oh, women are always the villains. And Kubrick he was just simping the whole time. He was just like, women are so evil. They don't understand me. But it's not really like that. It's just that moment when I was like, fuck?
Yeah. One of the things I saw on this, or considered on this watch, was that maybe she doesn't like him anymore because, like, he basically, how he, like, buys everything. Like, money is everything to him. Like, he gets everyone to do things for him through money. And that's basically with her too. Like, her art gallery, she said, like, went bankrupt or something, and she basically depends on him now. So I was thinking maybe she resents him for that. And
I think part of it too was trying to, she was trying. That makes sense because I feel like part of that conversation. Well, first of all, weed doesn't do that. I don't think anybody's ever had experience with weed where they smoke weed and they get literally really aggressive.
Seems like Kubrick has never smoked before, to be honest with you. It's like what? It's like in a PSA of like, don't smoke weed because this will happen.
Yeah, you'll start admitting that you want
that after hitting the old crack pipe.
The devil's lettuce. Yeah. The devil's lettuce caused my divorce. Okay.
That's what I was wondering because I've never smoked, but I've obviously I've been around people that have smoked.
You've got secondhand high.
Usually, no, I don't. I'm sorry, Cole.
Yeah, I've seen it be blown into your mouth.
By Dalton. Like full on.
It's a really long stream, actually, from across the country.
Yeah, exactly. But
I was gonna say, I don't think it was the weed doing that. I think that was just her.
No, it definitely was. It just brought it out. And it's like, I feel like works.
That's something maybe if you were drunk. Like, I think that was the implication that she wouldn't have said this otherwise. But I think that would make more sense if they were like drunk and this had come out in like a conversation. Yeah, because obviously she was thinking about this whole time how she was somewhat insecure because he was talking to the models, or maybe that was like
with them.
Or maybe that was like a catalyst for like, okay, since he's doing that, I can finally bring this out, justifiably because you did that, and now I can really talk about how I feel.
Like taking blows at each other, basically.
Yeah, but and then the conversation came out where he had kind of implied that their marriage was out of obligation. Like, he was like, oh, because I have a kid, and obviously he's like, I love you, but
he just says like, the reason why I don't flirt with other girls is because you're my wife. It's like a contract. Not because I love you. Or he does say I love you, but it does
it was
seem
the way
more
that
like
whole
a
conversation went.
A transaction.
Yeah. One love for one sex, right? But no, that whole conversation was pretty weird. The way that it was presented didn't really feel like any kind of natural conversation that I noticed, because Tom Cruise was trying at first to tell her like, oh, like, I love you, I didn't do anything, I trust you, but there was also, I guess she was looking for more honesty.
Yeah, she's trying to like rile up.
Yeah, exactly, and like get the truth to come out that way, which it didn't, and so I guess that is like a whole thing. But that's basically one of the major themes of this movie is a lot of sexual desires bubbling up, and I guess sexual repressed desires too.
Yeah, well, that's like sexual repressed desire, and also like temptation, and also ego, like breaking ego, and kind of like insecurities. Yeah, which is definitely made for an interesting movie, but it went to weird places. Yeah, I think what we kind of like been tiptoeing around was like the weirdest part, which was definitely ended up in the sex cult, which was the part with the best music.
Absolutely.
It was kind of weird how it ended up there, but it was like, wow,
it was kind of offbeat, kind of a weird tonal shift, but a welcome one.
Yeah, and almost felt like this is the Kubrick movie part. I feel it's like this is Kubrick at his like, I don't want to say at his best, but this is like definitely the Kubrick.
This is
scene
Kubrick
right here.
doing his thing. And, you know, it's cool because as soon as you see that, that's when I started wondering. I was like, well, how much of what's been going on beforehand it has to do with this? Because they spend a lot of time in that house when Tom Cruise ends up there. You know, he's following his friend he went to school with, who's the pianist, playing there, which is already weird. Yeah, the pianist. And he's over there and he's like, stroking him or whatever. And he ends up there. And
there's a bloody load or something.
Yeah, it's something crazy, you know, far over his head, both heads. And it was just a whole bloody, messy, vaguely opaque, whitish affair.
Very sexual. Yeah,
lots of people just getting down, dirty, like it was the 70s. I admire that, you know?
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. Okay. But there were a lot of people getting down, getting dirty.
Whatever happened to our generation.
And he gets warned. He's like, you need to leave right now by some mystery woman.
And the first time I watched this, I was like, damn, he's infiltrating. They don't even know. But like the second time. Yeah. The second time, like as soon as he pulled up, like everyone knew pretty much.
Yeah, like, I was going to say, I noticed immediately, it was like fish out of water. He was much out of place. I never was like, oh, he's like finding out something more. It was like, what the fuck's going to happen to him? It creates that tension though. So all the more credit to it. I think regardless of how it feels to watch it, it's like, you can't deny the tension's there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not to mention with the music, it's just I think it adds to the vibe that he is somewhere he should not be. And so you feel that as an audience member. And I think for the rest of the movie, it kind of carries that with it, that there's something more going on behind the scenes, that it's almost like an eye over the city that realistically follows him around.
Did you see the eyeball on his back after he got back from the sex party?
I didn't,
there was like
actually.
A quick shot as soon as he walks into his apartment. And I don't think it's an accident because Kubrick's very, you know...
He puts a lot of care into what he puts on screen.
Oh, dude, he's a perfectionist. Like, every detail is... Or, for the most part, every detail is pretty much
when
done intentionally.
Bill Harford walks into his room, or into his apartment, there's like a few frames on his back that show an eyeball, like, scanning across an eye. It doesn't show the whole thing at first. And it's kind of like he's marked now. Like they know where he is. They're watching him because he had the audacity to sneak in there.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. I was going to say, I did notice at some point he was looking at a newspaper when he was being followed well after he gets back from that party. And it says lucky to be alive.
There's a lot of that.
I see what you're doing here. I feel like I could watch an hour-long video breaking down every little detail.
Yeah.
Which is a good thing. Props to Kubrick.
And there's a lot of like stuff with masks throughout the movie, like when one of his patients died, and he went over. That's where like his patient's daughter kissed him. Yeah. There's like a mask there, and it seems to like be associated with like death, kind of like as a symbol, and or like I don't know, corruption, kind of.
Or maybe he was a former member of the cult.
Maybe,
and that's why he had the mask.
But then there's a bunch of like African masks in the prostitute's apartment, like on the wall. And when I saw them this time, I didn't notice them the first time. Like, what the fuck? Why'd she have all this?
I already know Carlos didn't see that because he would never. But okay, what I was gonna say is that this movie is like a huge ego trip. You bringing up the girl kissing Tom Cruise, whose dad had literally just died, and they're in the same room with the dead dad, and all she wants to do is fuck Tom Cruise so bad. It's like, it almost seems like Tom Cruise wrote the character for himself, right? Where he's like, every woman who locks eyes with me wants me right now.
Yeah,
and that's like, kind of how it is.
I barely know you,
but like, come into my house.
I'm in love with you. It's like, come into my house. I'm in love with you. He's like, what the fuck, Tom Cruise? Is this what you think is happening?
It's like one of those harem animes.
Yeah, honestly. Yeah. I mean, as the movie goes on, you find out it's not all as what it seems. But, you know, it kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier, where Tom Cruise feels that guilt himself about possibly breaking the confines of the marriage when, you know, his wife really didn't. And it's just something that lingers in his mind throughout the rest of the movie as well. Like, shouldn't he?
the orgy scene, like it's very cold. It's not like what
Not
you would
very
expect.
erotic.
No, everyone's like
Yeah.
standing to the sides, like distant, and it's just like very unexpected.
Yeah,
Yeah,
You'd
only-
expect
only
from that kind
one-
of thing.
Only one or two people are actually having sex. Everybody's kind of like rubbing masks.
Yeah.
I was like, huh.
Yeah, and
this
just
is
watching.
odd.
It doesn't feel
Yeah,
like
or
it's
just
trying to
watching.
be sexy. It feels like it's trying to be.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it's almost like they have to, so that's why they're doing it.
Almost like mysterious. Not
Or it's just like-
necessarily-
Yeah, kind of like
tradition.
Joker.
Yeah, from Persona 5.
Okay, you just had to say it, didn't you?
You
Didn't
brought
you,
it up.
fuck?
You brought it up.
Kidding.
What
All right.
Joker were you talking about?
I'm not going to elaborate on that because you know what? I like to create tension for the audience. No, I'm joking.
Yeah,
We're
you
talking
like
about Eyes
to-
Wide Shut. You got to bring up fucking
Yeah.
Persona 5 every single
Yes.
time. No, I'm joking, guys. We're not
Because-
angry.
Because
Cole
we
would
have
show
great
up-
makeup
reminded
sex.
me.
Wait, what?
Cole would
You
show
Joker?
up with the Joker mask.
No, you.
Yeah, he would. He would.
Okay, no.
And then people would be like,
No.
"Hey,
And
you
you'd sing
kind
the
of look
song,
like Joker."
Behind the
No,
Mask.
no. You know, the average statistic is that 1 in 3 people get told they look like Joker from Persona 5, and there's 3 of us here. All right, so all I'm saying is you guys, the audience, can do the guessing. But look, let's get back on track. All right, we're talking about a sex cult. You guys are talking about some anime bullshit.
Yeah, I
not
think
on
if
that today.
Okay, if I were going in, the mask I would choose is Dream's mask. I would walk in with just the 2 dots and the smiley face.
I
What's
would
his
choose
song?
the haunted mask from Goosebumps.
Oh yeah,
Nice.
I would just go in without a mask because my face is a mask enough.
No.
Oh,
Hey, he's trying to get
No, but,
philosophical on us.
As I was saying with the
Philosophizer.
masks, what do you guys think about the shopkeeper of the costume?
Oh,
place?
that was one of the scenes that I had mentioned that was like a one take, and I was like, oh, this has been going like a long time, and it's actually really cool. Was as soon as they walked to the back room with all the costumes, and of course they run into his daughter, who was kind of being, she was
Risky.
basically a
Promiscuous?
hooker. She was a hooker because they were paying to kind of like have sex with her.
I don't think they were paying at
businessmen.
first.
I think they
yeah,
were.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't know what the
Because
fuck was going on at first.
I think that's the reason that eventually they came back, you know, and that's
Well,
why
I
they're
think-
kind of welcome because they had money, they were paying. And she
I thought
was
like
that's
the
when
first
dad was
time
okay.
it was like because she wanted to, but then like not to get in trouble with the police, they made a deal with her dad. Like, okay, we'll pay. I don't know, maybe
That does
not.
make sense, yeah. I'm not gonna lie, when I watched it, I kind of was wondering if it had something to do with the cult, but I don't think it did. I was just like, yeah, that was just a weird thing, because it's like the same with the every girl's in love with Tom Cruise trope happens right there too.
Yeah, but I think that was one of the shots. I was like, okay, this is a hallway shot. It looks great, and then it turns around, and then he kind of like the people hiding. And I was like, it's not like obvious like what's gonna happen. You're kind of just like, why the fuck did they flip to that? And then it goes in there, and the whole scene with like the 2 people kind of like freaking
Yeah.
out. It was all like one shot, and I was like, usually
my
you see scenes that
daughter.
are being appreciated with like
Yeah.
people just walking through hallways and stuff, and like, oh, they're acting in this one shot. This one's like full on like actual actions being like happening and stuff. And I was like, wow, this is really cool to watch. But I mean, the character of the shopkeeper himself was actually really funny. I
Yeah,
actually kind
I would
of
say that.
really enjoyed his performance.
Yeah, it was unexpected for sure until he started trying to sell his daughter. Then it was like, okay, this guy.
Yeah,
And then you're like a little too far from me.
yeah. 'Cause
One of the big themes in this movie, like, because that's why I say like this has a lot of rewatchabilities, because not only is it dealing with like the sexual stuff and themes, but there's also that kind of economic class theme I was talking about a little earlier, where like his name is Dr. Bill, like Dollar Bill. I think that Kubrick always has on the nose names, you know?
I'm gonna be honest, I didn't pick that up. I didn't pick that up the entire time I was
And
watching
that's
that.
funny.
He walks around the city like showing off his doctor's thing, like a badge, like a
That is
police
true.
badge.
Yeah.
So he's using his like status
I'm a doctor.
everywhere.
He got the most out of that badge. I can tell you that much.
He did. And he like bribes everyone with like money, and he's like, I'm the hot shot, I could do anything. But then like he realizes at the end, like throughout the movie, that basically he is that, like what he treats to other people to like another class of people.
Yeah,
like he's expendable.
He's insignificant. I think that's part of the whole arc that he has, because of course he's Mr. Big Shot, Mr. Dollar Bill or whatever.
Yeah,
and he takes that hit. Obviously, his wife he's thinking of other men. So it's like, oh, strike one, strike two, going into the sex cult. He's like, you're not welcome here because you're not good enough. Strike two.
Yeah, and then he shows up in a taxi when they all showed up in limos.
Yeah,
and he's like Big Shot splitting his $100 bill in half. It's like, damn, okay.
Yeah, and
that's a good interpretation of it. I didn't really think about it like that when I was watching it, but I think it's definitely true that those elements are throughout a lot of this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I didn't come up with that myself, by the way. This is from reading stuff. Yeah, I after watching movies like this, where it's like really analytical, I like to read a lot of other people's interpretations and kind of like piece together my own.
It gives you it can give you a different perspective and a new appreciation for it. And I'm always accepting of that myself. Usually whenever something like that happens, I tell Carlos of what I think of a movie. He just says, I'm on my way to a slapped bottom. And speaking of slapped bottoms, Nicole Kidman in the last half of this movie is non-existent. No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
I mean, she's basically, because it's more about Tom Cruise, and I was very surprised.
He thinks about her getting absolutely railed by another guy, a sailor, a former Navy SEAL. No,
absolutely bent over. No, don't ever say that.
Is that your headcanon, Cole?
Well, I saw on the screen. That's what I saw on the screen, man.
It's like that's what it says on my notes. It just says,
yeah.
Like sorry, I was writing.
I did it in a like text format where it's just a guy like banging Nicole Kidman.
You were writing like Jack Torrance in The Shining, like over and over. That one line.
Hey yo. Okay. Let us know if you want to watch The Shining.
Dude, I feel like we got that recommended quite a bit. Well, we never done that. We'll eventually do that one, maybe.
But, no, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is a great movie overall. I think part of the class thing too was, of course, like the way he treats the hookers as well. Because I feel like there's a lot of sex work that's kind of in this, but it's not the thing about it is not exactly seen as like, oh, this is a sex, gross, disgusting worker. It's like somebody just trying to make money. Because when he met that hooker, I forgot what her name was. Domino. She wasn't like the typical like movie hookers, like, oh, you want to have fun. He's like, no, and he's like, oh, you suck, or kind of thing. She took him to his house. It's like, you want to have fun, kind of thing. And then,
well, she's portrayed as like, a real human being.
Yeah, as someone sexual, but they go in the house. Obviously, it's kind of a little rundown, but it's like it feels like where were they at? New York or something?
I was wanting to say that, and I was going to say it earlier, and I'm pretty sure that's where it's at, but I'm not 100%. So we'll say it's New York.
Yeah,
I think it was like filmed in like England or something, and those are sets.
Weird headcanon, but whatever. Not kidding. Oh, blimey, it's in the brink. No,
right. A fucking wide shot, innit?
Yeah. No, you're a doctor. All right. Can you prescribe me beans and toast for breakfast?
He's like, take your cigarette with your coffee and get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, if it was filmed in England, there would be like some random porky guy on the street who would stop Tom Cruise and be like, oh, I'm British, you bloke. And that would be that.
He's like, sir, shake him.
Yeah.
British.
This is going to have one
some people would love
it.
that. Some people, oh, no. That's okay.
No, just kidding.
The British are great. Somebody
sometimes
probably feels that way somewhere. Not here. No, I'm kidding. Right. But yeah, it's New York.
Yeah, but the sex workers, I think, are treated more as sex workers rather than typical hookers in movies.
Yeah,
they're kind of like, disgusting woman. It's like, oh,
and
this
you
is a
don't
real
like
person.
That.
What?
That was a simple question.
Yeah, I didn't say I didn't like it. Okay. I liked how it was portrayed more humanized.
Yeah.
It's definitely better. It's definitely well done. It's definitely tasteful.
Yeah, tasteful.
No, I didn't.
No, I agree. I agree with you. It's tasteful. It's done tastefully. They treat them like human beings, and when he doesn't end up having sex with her, he still pays her because he views himself in the way that like, oh, I can do this. I'm Tom Cruise.
That's another.
My ball sack is skin fucking tight.
That's another theme I kind of stumbled upon. A lot of people saying was like this. One of the huge themes of this movie is like the exploitation of women by basically all the prostitutes and like the women in the orgy, and people were saying like it kind of seems like Kubrick's trying to convey like
misogyny.
Kind of, well, no, like this kind of grooming of the daughter, because like whenever she's on screen doing something, it's always like in front of like with her mom. She's like showing her how to do stuff, like, and there's like a line where she's like counting money for like how counting a guy's money or something, and it's just like they mention like jumping into bed like as a homework problem. So it's just like, I don't know, it's
like it's
cycle.
almost setting them up to lead that sort of lifestyle.
Yeah, like kind of like
interesting.
The rest of the women and those in their lives being exploited.
Because that is true. I would never say that I personally felt like this movie dipped into exploitative territory in the way that actual exploitation movies do. But there is definitely an outline of how women are almost used just to fulfill a purpose. In a way, you could say, especially with the cult. It's like they have a purpose that they all fulfill.
Mm-hmm. That's what they're there for.
Yeah, and then it comes to find out that the girl that was kind of warning him was Miss America, former Miss America.
Man, what's
so
something?
Obviously,
no, I'm kidding. All right.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, and it was like she was definitely like. I mean, she must have been groomed because obviously, I think there's like obviously historically, those girls aren't treated very well because obviously they're kind of bred into like being the perfect kind of woman for judges who tend to be male. Yeah, and that's definitely a good example, I guess. Cole, what's so funny? Are you thinking about dead women?
No, what?
Is that so funny?
Well, you think about dead women again.
I was listening.
Is her dying funny?
A guy can't fucking smile.
Now you're turning red. You're turning red because you're getting embarrassed. And you've seen Turning Red, the movie by Disney Pixar.
I haven't actually seen that movie.
Oh, okay.
Oh, did you guys see at the end? There's like these. Well, I don't think you would have caught this because I didn't catch it in like the first two times.
No, I'm joking.
But there's like these two actors who are like these old guys in the party at the very beginning. It's like very quick, like you won't catch it, but they're like sitting by the stairwell, and then at the very end, when they're in the toy store, those two guys show up again, and they're kind of like near the daughter, and it's like very quick, and it's definitely the exact same two guys. So I feel like it's some of that looping around.
I got bad news for you, bozo. I got 2.5 hours to kill, so I'm about to watch this right after and point that out myself. All right.
So the thing is I saw that, and I saw those two guys, and I was like, something's off about them in the party. Yeah, so I'm gonna keep an eye out for them. And then at the very end, I was like, those two guys, I definitely knew something was up with them. They're
you know what? I can actually confirm that because Carlos did send me a screenshot of his notes, and which, by the way, all I have to say about that is you are one sick, twisted bastard. It even surprised me the shit that he put in there. But no, that's cool. It's cool. It's something that I feel like we could definitely have a field day watching this again and just kind of pointing out everything. And Kubrick's good about that. I mean, especially, I of course noticed it with The Shining. It all seems very laid out, very much like Carlos said, like a perfectionist mentality. And it's something that you can understand why the average film bro would appreciate. And when I use that term film bro, I'm using that in a negative connotation. Everyone will be fucking at our throats for not giving this shit the most perfect movie ever score. But,
this is basically what we thought of the movie.
Hey, that's pretty damn true. That was my brain after the movie. And Dalton is being mysteriously quiet. A film bro is somebody who only likes the highest of art. And anything that isn't high art and film with a capital F, it's not worthy and it's not up to their standards.
Well, we shouldn't cater to that. We should give our honest opinions.
We're not catering to that. We're not catering.
Yeah, the epitome of like, to them is like Taxi Driver or The Godfather or stuff like that, where it's like very older movies that are like perfect, and then everything else is like schlock.
The good, the bad, the ugly.
Yeah. But we're not catering to that because obviously.
I mean, 12 Angry Men. Is that one of those?
7 Samurai.
Seven. Yeah, I was gonna say Seven Samurai.
It can be Kurosawa's most boring movie ever, and they'll be like, "This shit's fucking heat." They can have the most miserable, painful experience of their life where they're on their phone the entire time, but they'll be like, "It's the greatest shit I've ever seen." It's like the cinematography in this film. Okay, but no, what I was making that point is, like, we're not catering to them. Yeah, I'm not afraid of any film.
Come at us.
I mean, hey, if that was true, I would just take off their glasses. Then they're done for. Like, what are they going to do? They're going to be like, oh, I can't see because I'm British. All right.
Yeah, basically.
But, no, I was saying that you can see why somebody who only values technicality without any sense of enjoyment for whatever they watch and waste their time pretending to be better than everybody else could enjoy this. And it is enjoyable. It's enjoyable. It's just very long, but it is enjoyable. And you can't be on your phone the whole time or else you'll miss two dudes about to take a little girl at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
So it was a cool movie. No,
I thought, overall, I mean, I feel like we could talk about little details in this movie like all day. But, yeah. You know, for the most part, this is
we don't got that kind of time.
Yeah, you know, I don't.
Tom Cruise's ball sack's real tight.
Yeah, but
not
cool. This movie is done tastefully. Like, I'm very surprised how they made characters very human, as for other movies would kind of make them kind of like more outrageous, which is, you know, its own right. It's interesting, but this one was like interesting in the way that it's like, oh, this is a realistic portrayal, even for somebody like Stanley Kubrick, who likes
like a misogynist,
yeah, basically. But,
I'm listening.
You know,
I am listening.
You know, it's all done very well. Like you said, it is very long. So if you're not into long movies, don't watch this one. But I mean, I think it's well worth it. I feel like I was sitting through it very intrigued by just the mystery of it all, and though it never really kind of answers most questions, it doesn't need to. I like that aspect of it where I can just watch it and then kind of just like look back and like, okay, what does this mean? You know, where did that go? Was, you know, the whole thing, you know, did that girl actually overdose? Was she killed? Obviously, it's heavily implied that she was killed, but you never know with, you know, the kind of drugs that were around or available to them. Because, you know, in the very beginning, that guy almost killed that girl because he had, you know, these highly intense drugs around him. So obviously he could offer it to her, and she almost like killed herself. But for this other girl, she might have done the same.
Yeah, no, I think it does a great job about leaving a lot of things up to your own interpretation without ever feeling like there's any loose ends that the movie is worse off for not resolving.
Yeah.
Not kidding. All right, that's it. Then. But yeah, even though it's long, but stick with it. Give it a watch. I think it's absolutely worth it. I know right now, and for probably at least a while, it'll be on Netflix. But you can probably find it somewhere else if it's not at the time of listening to this. It's a prestigious movie, so even if it goes away on streaming, I believe it's in the Criterion collection, right, Dalton?
I think so.
Okay. Well, I thought that. I'm not sure if that's true. But that's where all the film bros get together and jerk each other off about why their most boring movie is also their favorite, because it's such high art, and they're all British with no glasses on. But no, it's available is what I was trying to say with that. And it's a movie that will be looked back on fondly for many years to come, as a lot of Kubrick's movies are. I do like The Shining more, but this movie is still worth your time.
Yeah, I would say if I were to rate it, I would think I would give like an 8 out of 10. I feel like it was done incredibly well. It's a very good movie. There was some parts, I mean, for the most part, I was expecting a little bit more Kubrick, and I think that's probably why it didn't connect with me super well. But there's a lot of hidden detail that maybe on a second watch, I'd like it more. Just because, I mean, I know, like you said, Dalton, you kind of watch essays. I think those are great because they kind of like bring new light to viewings, and I always love those kind of movies.
Yeah. For me, I'd probably rate it. Right now, it's an 8 out of 10, but I feel like after doing some other reading and stuff like that, if I watch it again, I'd probably bump it up to a 9, just because it has a lot of messages that it's not just like the plot of the movie and then stuff happens. It's also like messages about like society and stuff, and there's so many that you can draw from it in so many different categories. And I really appreciate that in movies where you can take something away like that.
Yeah, subliminal messaging.
Yeah, pretty much.
Sublime messaging.
I give it like 7.5. I was gonna say I was really struggling between like 7 and an 8, but I'm like, it's just like you said, Carlos. It just doesn't. There's just something about it that doesn't fully come together, which is weird to say because we've been jerking this movie off the whole time. But it's something I definitely appreciate. I just don't love it. You know, there are things I love about it.
I couldn't tell.
But I feel like there wasn't looking back on it. I can't think of any like flaws or noticeable flaws.
Yeah.
Just we've only been talking about good things, but it's like it's pretty flawless for the most part.
Yeah, it's just like if Tom Cruise's ball sack was just a little bit tighter, man. That shit could have done it, you know? But it just wasn't. Dog. It just wasn't. And no, it's cool. It's just like, you know, once it started going right before Tom Cruise got to the cult, I thought it dragged. And then once it did get there, it's almost like very high concept without a whole lot of payoff. And I guess in a way that's a little disappointing, but I feel like a lot of the payoff would also come from watching it a second time.
Yeah, the payoff is not, I don't know, I feel like it's not part of the things in the foreground, like we said before. The payoff is like your own stuff. It's in your head.
I really like it, but you know, what more needs to be said? We've been going on for almost an hour. Yeah, we got a couple Persona 5 references under our belts, and
thank God.
That's one more Christmas movie. Unconventional though it may be, crossed off the list.
Yeah, so watch it with the family, enjoy it with some little kiddies around, and have a good time.
Tell them be like this when you grow up.
Exactly.
And say you got that from the Midnite spotlight.
And send Carlos hate mail. Wait, what? No, I'm joking. I'm joking. But I guess we should talk about what's going to come next, huh? We still got a couple more movies for this Christmas season.
We got a little bit more Christmas coming towards you. We're not doing as many as like our Halloween, but we're still doing quite a bit.
We're festive.
So Cole, what's coming next?
All right. Look, we've been talking about some unconventional Christmas movies, but none other can be the pinnacle of unconventional Christmas movie than Die Hard. And so we got to do it. How often do we talk about action movies on this podcast?
Never. I think we never do. The first.
Yeah, except when Godzilla runs. But we saw how that ended last time. Hey, look, Carlos, dudes be running in Die Hard. I'm sorry.
Hey, as long as it's not
Carlos hates every movie with running.
Yeah. That's what he's like. I could do that better.
Exactly.
I'm joking. I don't feel that way. I mean, unless we're talking like emotional attachment, that's different though. Yeah, well, such nice eyes. No, I'm kidding. All right. Well, I guess we'll go ahead and wrap this up.
Yeah.
Thank you all for listening. If you've been on YouTube watching us, thank you for watching, and we'll see you all next time.
Yeah, we'll see you all next time. And next time, I won't be on the floor. Hopefully. Goodbye.